We were married in 1961, and we learned what celestial means. And the prophet told us to think celestial. And I thought celestial all of our married life. Every time I think of her, I think celestial. Nearly every time. He was a forest ranger, and they moved into Kanosh when she was a sophomore. And I thought she brought the prettiest girl in that I knew. Anyway, went on from there. She only lived 2 blocks away. I wanted to take her home, so all we had was a tractor and a manure spreader. She got on the tractor. I took her home. Dated about a year. When we were 19, when I dated her aunt lived down in St. George. We stayed there a lot and would walk down to the temple. We did that probably 10 times, didn't we? I knew if I married her, I'd have to do it in the temple, but she wouldn't have me any other way. So I learned to pray. I want to tell you about when we first married. I wasn't very active because we moved out to Fallon. I was really shy and I didn't want any job like bishop or something. You had to get in front of people. So I stayed home about half the time. And my boss turned out to be my bishop. One day said, they need you in the church. So I went in there, wondered what was going to happen to me. We were attached to the Reno stake then. We were just a ward. And President Ronald came, he's a high energy stake president. I was in the hallway back against the wall. He had about half the ward or the stake leaders with him trying to keep up. He said, any reason you can't be a 70? What do you say when you're cornered against the wall? I didn't think of anything. So the next half hour I spent with Ezra Taft Benson. He was there to...
Oh, that's awesome.
I decided I wouldn't disappoint this good man. He'd been the secretary of agriculture for 8 years under Eisenhower. So he was kind of pretty famous. Well, I was in the the mission presidency for quite a while. And then I'd make state mission president for quite a while. D. Johnson was my companion. He's a good friend of mine. And I learned all 6 discussions that had to be memorized. So I taught my cows all 6 lessons. We taught the lady that happened to accidentally run over my son and was killed. And that was kind of hard on both of us. Anyway, she was feeling sorry about that, so we went and built her a porch And she was a neighbor of ours. We built her a porch so she could come out and hide on the porch. She and her husband both were real active. Well, I drove semi for quite a few years and cut wood mostly.
How many of your kids cut wood?
All of them. They had to. We used to go out to Cowboy Springs to get cottonwood, oak that was grown out there. We went out there and cut oak. I took my oldest grandson, he kept calling me grandma. And so he went out with me, he couldn't work, but anyway, we got in the tent. When I went out alone, it took 2 days to get a load. We get a 7-ton load. Took 2 days, so we had to sleep in a tent. And he was sitting by the tent doors practicing. Grandpa. When his eyes lit up, he said, "Grandpa." "Yeah, Grandma." So I went to bed. We cut all the wood. We can show you on the foothills where we cut wood. I remember when we moved out to Fallow, Nevada, we had to get on a bus at midnight, and we drove over the hill and down into Oakland, and try to stay awake during the session. And when we come back, we'd get off the bus at midnight, quite a ways away. We went real often, once a month.
Who was the biggest effect on your life? Her. Okay.
It wasn't an official date, but the first time we were both together was after the Ward show. I stood on the sidewalk and lived 1 block from the cultural hall where we had the movie. I stood there for 10, 15 minutes. All the other cars had gone, and he finally said, "Do you want to ride home?" Yeah, I love that. He says, "Okay, climb in the back" of his family's work pickup. So I climbed in the back with a friend who is one of his second cousins. And we're going down, and he passed my house. Good, he passed my house. We went onto the north end of town and let my girlfriend off, and then came back and pulled in front of his house. He lived on the north end of town. And he says, "You might just as well ride in the front." Good. So I jumped in between him and his friend Lester Charlesworth that was in the front seat. And then we drove around town for a while, and we stopped at Grant Station, which is now Bob's Station, and got a soda pop that we all shared. 1 soda pop. And that was awesome. And then he took Lester home. Yes. And then we drove up the canyon, and he showed me the monster that guarded the gate of the Forest Service, which was the silhouette of the entering the forest sign. If you saw it just in silhouette, it looked kind of like a giant standing there. And then he took me home, so it wasn't really a date, but after that we were together 3 or 4 times a week for the rest of that summer. And then that was before our senior year. We're the same age at school. And then we were a thing
She dated Charlie Price, my cousin,
first.
and Charlie says, "Will you take care of Lily while I'm gone?" They'd go up to Wyoming every summer. So I did.
Then we got engaged at the end of on our graduation night. We were they always had a dance after every graduation, and we were dancing. And one of the guys I had dated before had come home from college, and he went and broke in and tapped, or whatever you do to, can I, dance and now. And he went over and sat by my parents. And my mom told me after, she knew he was not happy that I was dancing with someone else. And so then he told me, he said, "Let's just leave and go talk." And we went he drove down the road that I didn't know at the time, but I know now is Sunflower Lane. He proposed by saying, "If I bought you a diamond, would you wear it?" And I said, "Yeah, I would." And that's how he proposed to me.
Oh, that's cool.
And the next day, we went down to Charlie Price's college graduation in Cedar, and he picked out a ring and he gave it to me that night. And then we got married a year, 15 months later. Way long time.
We were both 19.
Yeah. I was 19 and 4 weeks, and he was 19 and a half, an old man. So he didn't do a youth mission, or whatever you want to call it, but after he was made of 70, he's been part of the missionary program ever since. Ward mission leaders, stake mission leaders.
My best friend we were in Salt Lake, and
Brent Wadsworth.
he said, "Do you want to visit Uncle Gordon?" I said, "Yeah, let's go see Uncle Gordon." So his Uncle Gordon was Gordon V. Hinckley. He came out of the foyer and spent half hour with us.
Well, then I grew up in Bruce R. McConkey's ward, and he recognized me after we happened to be at the Boise airport in the olden days when you didn't have, gates that you would walk across the tarmac and climb up the steps into the airplane. Bruce R. McConkey got off a plane and saw me standing by the fence, and he came walking over to me.
Everybody else walked this way. He came right towards us.
And he said,
Lily Quigley.
"Lily Quigley, but you're married now." So, yeah, we were good. He was a good friend. It was neat. Melanie and Kevin live here. She's our oldest, and they have the oldest grandson that said grandma instead of grandma. And then Valerie is the next child, and her husband is Eckhart. They have 5 kids. Melanie and Kevin have 7 children. Val and Eckhart have 5.
And he's a pilot.
Yeah, he flies for American Airlines, is a pilot.
Oh, cool.
And Denise and Christian have 9 children, and they're Larsons. And they have recently moved to St. George. And he was in the military till he retired, so they've lived all over the world. So we're real happy that they're closer, so we get to see them more often now, because they're living in St. George. Then David and Ginger Whitaker live in Kanosh, and they have 7 kids. They have 7 kids. And they're really excited now. They have 2 grandchildren, and are excited. They have 2 more coming. So they're very excited. And then Wenda and Steve Crabb, and thank goodness they moved to Kanosh, to which they did during our mission.
I didn't know she had an airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
know.
she's learning to fly. Anyway, they have 5 kids. They've got 5 kids. And so it's been a real joy for us to have them close so we could get to know their kids and just really enjoy our grandkids. And then Gordon fits next. And then Willard and Flora, she's Brazilian, and so they have 2 children. They're living in Spanish Fork. Just a year ago, moved to Spanish Fork from Springville. And it's very fun to have a Brazilian daughter-in-law. And Lewis married Diana de Graffenried, so Lewis and Diana live in Brigham City, and they have 7 children. And their second daughter just got married last month. And so that's the first marriage in that family. Then Roger and Johanna live here, and we're really happy that their property about joins our backyard. So we will always be in the same ward.
Yeah.
It will take a very creative stake president to divide us apart. So at least we'll have some family in our ward. And they have 7 children. And Lorelei and married Jason Robbins, and they live in Kaysville. And
He was a seminary teacher.
I was a seminary teacher, and then retired. Well, he quit, whatever, changed jobs, and now he trains dogs. And they have a very, very successful business, and are enjoying having them, which is what they do at home, so it's really great. And they have 8 children. So, and then I didn't try to sort out the great-grandchildren because there's 52 of those. So.
Pretty special.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate